Hi everyone, welcome to Wednesday night. It is My Baby Experts and I'm Shari Criso and we are live again for another amazing episode. So we're going to give it a moment for all of you guys to jump on and join the chat. We have an awesome show for you tonight and I am just super excited to be back with you all. It seems like we've just had like week after week of amazing topics and amazing guests, and I am just getting more excited as the weeks go on, and we're not done. Believe me. Today is, well, happy November. Today's the first day of November. I hope you all had a wonderful and safe Halloween yesterday with all your babies, and I just loved seeing you guys posting all of your pictures last night. Thank you for that. Joe and I have such a good time just going through all the pictures when you guys start posting, and so I can see what's going on. And we were sitting here on the couch and I said, you know what? We don't have any kids this year. They were all out for Halloween, my daughters. But being able to see all your little ones in costumes just brought back memories of all the fun dress up and going out with them. And so that was great. Yes. Hi, guys. Everybody's jumping on. Did you guys get your reminder tonight? I hope so. Again, I'm trying something new where I can send you out those instant message reminders so that you guys know we're about to start. And hopefully you guys all got your reminders. So we'll just give it a minute. Everybody's still jumping on. And so, yeah, so tonight is episode 129. 129. So I want to see some hashtag 129 in the chat room tonight. Let's put some hashtag 129. Hi. Yes. Okay. And for those of you who do not know me at this point, most of you do, but we have a lot of new people every single time. And if you're new, go ahead and post I'm new, because we love to welcome new parents, new moms, new dads into our community, which we are doing every single day. We did hit the 100,000 follower mark last week, which was like crazy exciting. Again, it's just one of those things where I'm just blown away by you as the most amazing community, and we're going to just do a lot more together. So yes, hashtag 129, 100,000 followers. Tell me where you're from tonight. And and we're getting some new people. Hi, Miriam. Yeah, you see, I'm watching. Okay, everybody, just welcome the new people into the room. So yeah, so tonight we have a fantastic show for you. A topic that I've been really wanting to do for a long time, just finally found the person who needed to be interviewed, who can really discuss this with us. And tonight's show is all about human milk banking and milk donation. And I know so many of you have had this personally in your life, whether you've donated milk or been a recipient of breast milk, human breast milk. So if you are out there and you are a donor, I want you to go ahead, tell us you're a donor. If you have been a recipient of, if your baby's been a recipient of human milk from a milk bank, I want to hear that too. And also, just if you're breastfeeding, if you're pumping, go ahead and let me know what's going on for you, and go ahead and just post it right there into the chat room so we can see who's with us. All right, so without further ado, I really want to introduce you to my guest. She's amazing, and so I'm going to go ahead and turn over this screen. Oh, before I do that, I just want to tell you about the prizes tonight, because we do have awesome prizes from our amazing sponsors. Tonight we are going to give away prizes from Rumina Nursing Wear, and also Well Mom Breast Pillow, a Well Mom Breast Pillow. And you guys have been seeing a lot of that lately because it's one of my favorite products. Actually, they both are two of my favorite products. And actually what's amazing is I just love the people behind both of these brands, and they both happen to be two sisters on each brand. So Rumina is two sisters who run the company, who own the company, and this is the Rumina Nursing Wear bra, and there's tanks, and what they are their amazing bras that you can nurse in, and you can also pump in. If you have one of the Ruminas, go ahead and post that right here into the chat room, because I know a lot of you guys do. And then the other product that we have is the Well Mom Breast Support Pillow, the little squishy pillow that comes in different sizes and goes right under your breast, so you don't have to hold up your breast while you're nursing, giving you that extra hands-free. Especially great for moms with heavier or larger breasts, but really any size, like really anywhere from a C up. This breast pillow is going to work great for you and really great for multiples too. I do have a picture and I do want to show that for a minute so we can then move on to our topic. But yes, look at this. So everybody's posting here. I get so excited. I get distracted. Let me see here. I want to share my screen with you and show you a picture of this. There we go. Okay, that's the Rumina. Now, have you guys seen this? You can actually nurse in it. It moves aside. There's several different styles of the Rumina bra. There's the essential one that you're looking at there. There's the tanks, and then these seamless ones that are so great under your clothes. But then as you can see, you don't actually have to wear a different garment to be able to have hands-free pumping with this bra. And that's so wonderful because it's just one piece that you can use, and it's the same functionality on all of their bras and tanks. And so that's the first prize. And then the second prize tonight is going to be this Well Mom breast support pillow, as you can see here. And that gives a really good illustration of what it does, holding up the breast. Okay, so tonight's prize for Rumina is going to be a set, which we usually do. It's a set of a tank and a bra, your choice of style, color, and size, obviously. And then the breast pillow is going to be the, let's see, I'm sharing my screen. Stop sharing my screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then the breast pillow is going to be your choice of size as well. And to enter that, you're going to go over to the Facebook Live page that you register on, and then you have to click over to each one, register for them separately. It's a little bit different this time, okay? So I want to make sure that you know how to do that. And we also are doing another prize this week with Rumina. I'm going to be at the LA Baby Show this weekend, and very excited. I'm going to see all my favorite people there, and hopefully some of you. Anybody going to LA Baby? If you're going to be there, I want to hear from you, okay? And you got to come over and say hi, because it's my favorite part, is to be able to say hello to all of you. But Rumina is giving away 20 nursing bras between now and then. I posted that today, or last night on my page. So if you haven't entered the 20 Mom, 20 Bra giveaway, make sure you go do that. Really good chances to win 20 bras, and I'll be announcing them live at the Rumina booth with Amanda and Dawn on Sunday. Okay, so make sure that you go and you enter. All right, so there's a mouthful. I am ready to start now, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring on my guest. So here we go. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm in the right screen. Okay. Hi, Naomi. How are you?
Hey, Shari. This is exciting. Looking forward to it.
So exciting. Thank you for waiting for me. I had a lot to say there. But everybody, this is Naomi Bar-Yam, and she is the executive director of the Mother's Milk Bank Northeast, as well as the president of HMBANA, which is the Human Milk Bank of North America. And so I'm very honored and excited to have you here with us to talk about human milk banking and donation too. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. We have a really great audience. Everybody's here and talking about, some of them have been milk donors, lots of breastfeeding moms, lots of pumping moms, and all really interested in this topic in one way or another. And even if it's not affecting them personally, just knowing how much it's helping others and the possibility of being able to contribute. So would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? I just told them who you are, but I'd like for them to hear more about, you've been doing this for such a long time and such an amazing career, and I would just love for them to know.
So I will give you a brief rundown. So I have been involved with the Milk Bank. I'm the founding director of Mother's Milk Bank Northeast. We started up with 2006, and we were fully up and running as a full-fledged milk bank by 2011. So it's been 11 plus years now that I've been doing this. When I started this, I had been in maternal child health, working in maternal child health for many years. And came to it really because of my 4 children. My 2 youngest, who were born 6 years apart on 2 different continents, both started their lives in NICUs. And in both cases, I had more milk than I needed, and it ended up going to someone else, but that got me interested. And that was where I really learned when my youngest was born, who's now 21. That was really how I learned what a milk bank was and that it even existed. And that piqued my interest. And I called some colleagues and said, is anybody else interested in this? And the rest is history.
Awesome. Awesome. Isn't it amazing how, sometimes, well, most of the time, the things that happen in our lives that don't seem like a good thing at the moment, they shape our lives. And then from that, you've been able to bring so much good to so many babies because of the experience that you had. And you hear that all the time. And so you're a perfect example of taking that and then saying, this is so needed, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it's been quite an adventure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'd love to, we have two great videos for you tonight. And I want to start with one, which is really a little overview of the Mother's Milk Bank Northeast. And it's actually a video directly from you guys, and you're in the video. So I'd love to just show that to the audience first, and then we'll get into some of the topics we're going to talk about tonight. Yes, they're all saying hi to you.
Hi.
Hi, she's saying hi. You can hear her, right? Okay. So
if people have questions, okay. Very well, yeah.
All right, great. So let me go ahead and play this little video for you all. And there you
go. My name is Naomi Bar-Yam. I'm the Executive Director of the Mother's Milk Bank Northeast. We have been serving families, hospitals, and fragile preterm babies all across the Northeast since 2006. A milk bank is a service or an agency that takes donations of mother's milk from moms who have more than they need for their babies, and we screen it and pasteurize it and test it and dispense it mostly to premature and sick hospitalized babies, but sometimes also to outpatient babies. So when we pasteurize milk, we actually take the milk of more than one mom for each batch that we pasteurize. Usually it's 2 to 3 moms to milk together, and the reason for that is that it really gives us a good mix of components, of nutritional components and immunologic components. As you can see, we really go through a lot of safety steps to make sure that our milk is safe for the premature and fragile babies that we're going to serve. We have several different kinds of donors. Most of our donors are healthy mothers of healthy full-term babies who have more milk than their babies need. Some of our donors are mothers of preterm babies who have also more milk than their babies need. Our third kind of donor is mothers who have had either preterm or sometimes full-term babies who do not survive, and they have extra milk that they would like to donate to help other babies in need. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you've learned some more about Mother's Milk Bank Northeast. If you'd like to learn more or have further questions, please check out our website, give us a call, send us an email. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks. We hope to hear from you soon.
Awesome. Okay, let me make sure that we are, that I have my volume on here. I do. Okay, great. What a great video. I wanted everybody to get that overview. A lot of people here in the audience are donors or want to be, and I'm seeing them all post this here, which I think is such a wonderful thing, which only comes really with awareness. And so it's so important for us to really raise that awareness that milk banking exists, and I'm just shocked every day that I talk to people and they don't know that that's actually a thing or that it's been a thing for a long time, forever really, but in this capacity. And so can we talk a little bit about what is milk banking, just from the beginning? Like what is it? What are we actually talking about here?
So milk banking, as we said in the video, is really a service where we accept donations of milk from moms who have more than they need. We screen the mothers very carefully, health screen. We we test the milk, we pasteurize the milk, and then we dispense it primarily to fragile premature babies, but also to outpatients, to babies at home where there's a need. That's basically, in a nutshell, what we do.
Right, right. And, you know, I think that I mean, just from, I've been working with moms and babies for so many years, you know, for over 25 years. And I can say that it's only in the last maybe 8 to 10 years, I'm really seeing more and more moms talk about donation. So it seems like more, like we're saying, the awareness, more people are starting to understand that this is something that they can do.
Yeah, I think that so as you sort of alluded to a couple minutes ago, you know, in some ways this is not new. We're part of a historic continuum. So people have been sharing milk since the beginning of time. And then you had wet nurses who shared milk for pay. As there was things like money and bartering and commodities to exchange, milk was one of them. And milk banking as we know it started just over 100 years ago. The first milk bank in the world started in Vienna in 1909. The first milk bank in the U.S. opened in 1910.
Oh, wow.
And that included the taking the milk from moms. A lot of that was due to, with the Industrial Revolution, you had, first of all, safe refrigeration. Second of all, reasonable breast pumps where you could separate. So you could separate the product being the milk from the producer being the mom or the donor from the baby. And that allowed, it was just a game changer. And then you also had pasteurization. So the milk was pasteurized in order to make sure that it was safe. So that was the beginnings of milk banking. Milk banking grew throughout, really, in the U.S. and Europe and Canada, North America and Europe, over the ensuing 100 years, or almost 100 years. And so the milk banking movement really has grown since then. And it's had its ups and downs nationally, internationally, and in different communities. But it's been around for a long time.
Mm. And it's so interesting listening to you talk about the history of it. And is that something that we see all over the world too? Are milk banks all over the world? And do we have similar systems in other countries as we do here?
So milk banking is growing around the world. I think it started in Europe and in North America. But Brazil has a very extensive, different system than here, but a very extensive milk banking movement. And more, we're hearing from more and more countries all over the world looking to develop milk banks as medical science progresses, as fragile premature babies' lives can be saved at smaller and smaller ages, not only in the U.S., and in the developed world, but also really throughout the world. Milk banking, as we know it, is also expanding everywhere. Yeah.
I asked the question because we have such a large worldwide audience that watches from pretty much every single continent and country around the world. We get people even here tonight that are from everywhere. So I just want to make sure that they all know about it and that, you know, they're looking into it. And I think when I'm listening to you speak, what I love about milk banking too is not only is it raising awareness about the banking itself, but about breastfeeding and the benefits of breastfeeding.
And ideally, you know, we're in a business where we would like to do ourselves out of a job. So if I could shutter my doors tomorrow because nobody needed me anymore, that would be a successful outcome.
Right.
If people could just breastfeed their babies. So really, we see ourselves as being an integral part of breastfeeding support.
Absolutely.
That's what we do. But we also know from several thousand years of history that there will be times when moms cannot feed their babies for many, many reasons. So we know that there will be a need, but the less we're needed, the better.
Yeah. Makes so much sense. And, you know, as you're talking, I'm just thinking of all the ways that this actually really brings awareness to the benefits. You started to talk about, you know, premature and sick babies. And we talk a little bit about why that is so important for that vulnerable population.
So premature babies are very fragile, and they do not, I mean, even full-term babies, it takes several years for their immune systems and their digestive systems and their brains to grow. And for premature babies, that's even more so. They're just very fragile. Their immune systems are very underdeveloped. And so we know that human milk matters. You're talking about babies that are born. I don't know how many people in your audience have had or are friends who have had premature babies, but with modern science, we can really save babies who are born at 25, 26, 27 weeks of what should be a 40-week pregnancy. So those babies shouldn't even be taking milk at that point. They should be getting everything through the cord for the next 2 or 3 months. And so giving them human milk matters in terms of both short-term and long-term outcomes, in terms of their survival and their health.
Mm-hmm. And we're not just talking about the normal benefits of breastfeeding, which there are so many. And when we talk about breast milk and breastfeeding in general for full-term babies and throughout the first 2 years of a child's life and longer, but at least that first year or two, we're talking about life and death in some of these situations that without breast milk, they will not survive.
Right.
Or they're majorly at risk.
They're higher risk, right. So the biggest issue that we worry about and that neonatologists worry about is a gut infection called necrotizing enterocolitis. And because nobody likes to say that too often, we call it NEC. And that is a gut infection. It is not caused by formula, but it is way more likely in formula-fed babies than in human milk-fed babies. And that NEC has very high both morbidity and mortality rates. So many babies die from NEC, and babies who survive have short and long-term detrimental effects. So that sometimes you have babies that are, 2-pound preemies that they are doing abdominal surgery and taking out part of their intestines, and that leaves them with short gut syndrome for the rest of their lives. That's and other forms of infection, because their immune systems are fragile, they're much more likely to get infections, and human milk supports the immune system, not as well as mom would through the umbilical cord, but better than formula. So one of the other things that science is doing is really working on ways to hold on to those babies and not have them born until they're ready, which is also would be a very successful outcome, is to find successful ways to keep these babies inside for longer. But when they are born, giving them human milk, keeping them skin to skin with mom, and all of those things help the babies grow, help the babies stay safe and healthy and at lower risk for various kinds of infections.
And it's so important for people to become educated, and for even practitioners, nurses, physicians to really understand the difference between, so that they can offer this choice to parents. And then, organizations and milk banks like yours and across the entire country and the world are so important to have that milk supply coming in, so that we can give that to the children that need it. You also mentioned earlier, it's not just premature babies, but and sick babies in the hospital or at birth, but also for outpatient as well.
Yes, so we can dispense milk to outpatients. They require a prescription from their healthcare provider, but we can provide milk to outpatients. Often what we do is we will have a call from a mom or dad that mom's supply just isn't, whether it's a full-term baby or a premature baby ready to go home or no longer eligible for milk in the hospital, where the mom's milk supply is not yet fully in. And we can send them milk. We call it bridge milk. It's sort of the bridge between the donor milk and the mom's full supply coming in. And we love to, I say to moms all the time, and dads, we're happy to provide you with the 8 or 10 or 12 bottles that you need. And our goal is that we'll never hear from you again, because you don't need us anymore, because your milk supply has come in. And that's where we are a part of breastfeeding support. And sometimes we get moms who need milk at the beginning and then call us 3 months later and say, my freezer's full, I want to donate, which is a wonderful kind of coming full circle, both for them and for us. It doesn't happen often. Our goal is to have them feeding their own babies. That's the most important piece. But sometimes we get calls from moms who want to donate later on, which is nice.
Right. So pretty much if you have an issue at the beginning, like you're talking about, where you have a supply issue to be able to provide enough for your baby, this is an option for people to,
absolutely,
for moms to request, to talk to their pediatricians and then get that prescription and reach out.
Yep, absolutely. And they can call whatever their local milk bank is. And different milk banks have different policies on how that works. But yes, we can provide milk to outpatient families. Absolutely. We have sometimes adoption situations. Sometimes we have moms who have had mastectomies before the pregnancy, or moms who are diagnosed with some serious disorder during pregnancy and need to start their own chemotherapy, drug treatments immediately afterwards that is not compatible with breastfeeding. And so we hear from those moms sometimes, those families.
Yeah. Someone's asking the question, is the milk bank milk free? And whether is it covered by insurance, or what is the cost for moms? Does insurance cover this?
So this is for the U.S. audience, because in other countries it works very differently. That's the $64,000 question. Insurance does not routinely cover donor milk. There are some states in the United States in which Medicaid is covering donor milk under different rules and different circumstances, but they are beginning to cover it. But it is not by any means covered as standard of care by all insurance companies. So sometimes individual families on a case-by-case basis can have the fees covered. And we can help with that. Usually we cannot do the family and the doctor have to really do a lot of the legwork on that, but we can definitely help with getting that covered, but it's not always covered. There are fees for the milk. We are all small nonprofit organizations, and we are not in this for the money, but we do have all of the steps that we go through to assure that the milk is safe cost us. So technically, to break it down, we're not actually charging for the milk because we don't pay our donors. However, the electric company doesn't really care that I'm a small nonprofit. I still have to pay my electric bill to keep my freezers going and that sort of thing. So there are fees and there are costs associated with making sure that the milk that we provide is safe, and that we do need to charge for.
Absolutely. Makes total sense. You mentioned that that milk donors do not receive payment for the donation. Let's talk a little bit about that. So it's a donation, and I know there's reasons for that go beyond just financial.
Yes. So we have our milk donors are incredibly generous with their time and their milk, and we are so appreciative of that. I would just say there are certain expenses associated with donating, like shipping the milk and blood work and so forth. All of that we pay for. So you're not expected to lay out any money in order to donate, but it is your time and your precious milk that you do donate. And part of the reason for that is really, and this has been shown both in terms of other forms of donation like blood and organs and things like that, and also in terms of throughout history. When money changes hands for some human body product, or human body, I don't know what the word is besides product, things change. And there's certainly some both current research and historical evidence that when people are paid for their milk, the milk can be tampered with, the milk can be changed, the milk can be diluted, things like that. So those are things that we are very aware of. And so, again, we've had wet nurses for several thousand years. But we've also had, in addition to having wet nurses and having that paid for, we've also, for a couple of thousand years, that has been regulated. There's been a recognition going back to the codes of Hammurabi and ancient Egypt and ancient China that there is reason to regulate this, that there are things to be concerned about. In this country, milk exchange is completely unregulated. And that can be problematic. Again, we have several thousand years worth of recognition that this needs to be regulated. There needs to be some oversight on this precious exchange. And it's been exchanged much longer. I mean, blood is fairly recent in the course of history because we had needed ways to get it out and save it of the body. And certainly organs, all of those things have been, are much more contemporary and modern. And so the ethical issues look a little bit different. And we've had to ask a lot of those questions in the last, probably 50 years that we didn't have to ask before that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a bodily fluid. Milk is a bodily fluid. It's coming from human. And I mean, I know there are so many moms who are so aware and understand that this is so amazing. And then there's so many others who go, oh, you drink milk from it. And I think, well, have you seen the cow? Exactly. Why would you not want to take milk from another human being, person, woman? And so the whole thing doesn't make any sense to me, but there are a lot of people who kind of cringe at the thought. And I just think it's a cultural, we've been all alive in an era where there has been another option for it, to not do that, where before this is just, like you said, for thousands and thousands of years, since the beginning of time, this has been a pretty normal, very normal thing, very normal thing.
I think we are more now we look for scientific evidence, and I think what's happening is that the scientific evidence of the value of human milk is so compelling that we're coming around. If you look at the 1970s and the 50s, 60s, 70s, where breastfeeding rates were dropping hugely, the evidence is there that surely for premature babies, but also for term babies, human milk matters. It makes a difference. It makes a difference short term and long term. And so we're coming back around again to saying, if I can't provide my baby with human milk, I want my baby to get human milk from somewhere. So that demand and that is increasing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. How do moms know that the milk is safe? Like, what is the process? Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think there's some unknown for a lot of people how this actually works, what you do to the milk.
Yeah, so that is a reasonable question. It is a bodily fluid. And again, for a long time, people have recognized that diseases transmit through milk, and that is a reasonable question. Our safety standards are several steps. The first step is screening our donors. We have a very careful donor screen that is modeled after blood banking. So if you're going to donate milk, you're going to hear a lot of the same questions as you would if you were donating blood, a lot of the same health lifestyle questions we will ask. We also ask additional questions about medication, because medications, not all medications, but many medications that are perfectly safe for a mom to feed, to eat, to take those medications and feed her full-term healthy baby, are more concerning when you're feeding a 1.5 or 2 pound fragile baby that are on their own medications, and we don't know what they're on when we process the milk. So it's a very careful screen that involves a phone screen to get some basic information, health forms, a 5 or 6 page health questionnaire. We do require sign off from the mother's doctor and her baby's doctor that the baby is growing well. The first priority is always the mother's own baby. There's a blood test where we test moms. We do a blood test for mom to assure that she doesn't have the big transmittable diseases. We test for HIV, HTLV, hepatitis B and C, and syphilis. And once that's all completed and she's a approved donor, then she sends us her milk. We pasteurize the milk, and then we test the milk after it's been pasteurized to make sure that there are no pathogens, no bacteria, no viruses left in the milk. Once we get that culture back, then we can dispense the milk and send it out. So we do have a lot of overlapping safety checks to make sure that the milk really is safe and that we're not missing anything.
Right. It seems like such a thorough process, and it's really important to explain that to people, and especially what you were bringing up about medications, because what may be the rule for what you do when you're breastfeeding your own baby would be different than when you're donating. And a lot of them, we talk about medications here a lot with breastfeeding, and when it comes to a preterm baby or even a newborn, the way they metabolize medications is really different than what they do as they get older. So it makes sense. You don't really know who the milk is going to.
Right.
How old that baby is, or what kind of health conditions they have, or many that it will be going to. So it makes a lot of sense that that's all screened. And I've heard people say, I don't know why they wouldn't accept my milk. I was only taking this, but it's okay to breastfeed, but it's a different story. And so that's a great explanation of why.
I think I would mention for people who are thinking about donating is that the other thing we cannot take is moms who are on herbal preparations.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is that some herbals really do affect your milk and do affect premature babies. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that is that in the United States, at least, herbal preparations are not, there's no oversight of herbal preparations, unlike other things where you have FDA, at least some oversight. There's no oversight, and there are research studies out there showing us that whatever it says on the label is in an herbal is not necessarily what's in the bag in the amounts that it says it is. Right. So we need to be very careful about herbal preparations. So sometimes moms are on herbals that, again, are probably fine for your own baby, but for these very fragile babies, we have to be extra careful.
Yeah. And that's amazing that you guys take those precautions, and I'm sure the parents of the very premature babies are very happy that you do take those precautions. I can understand. Is there a minimum amount? Just curious, if a mom decides that she's going to donate, does she, we go through ups and downs with breastfeeding and our supply. At times, we have an abundance, and at other times there may be a dip or a slowing down depending on growth spurts on different times. And so is there when you do start donating, is there some kind of amount that is like the minimum amount to donate, or?
So most milk banks do have some minimum, and it ranges between 100 and 200 ounces. Now that's over the entire time that you're donating.
Okay.
You don't have to send that to us all at once. That's over the whole time you're donating. A couple of 100 ounces is probably 2 or 3 dozen bags of milk. It's not, if you have an oversupply, usually we often get calls from moms who want to donate milk where they sort of call and say, oh my gosh, it's the beginning of November. I have no room to put the Thanksgiving turkey because my freezer is full of milk. Can I please donate? If you don't have room for the turkey, you've got 150 ounces. Don't worry.
That's so true. So true.
So yeah. And the exception to that is when we have a bereaved mom where the baby has died, they do need to go through the screening to make sure the milk is safe and she hasn't been on medications, but we will take whatever she has and we will use it.
Yeah.
So that's the exception, but otherwise it's usually but depending on the milk bank, between 1 and 200 ounces.
Right. And I've had situations in both directions with loss like that, where some moms, just feel like it's a great thing for them to support themselves in the grieving process to be able to help other babies, and other moms, it's just too much for them to handle and think about, and they want the milk to dry up and be done as fast as possible. And that's such a personal thing. We've talked about that quite a bit here too. And it really is such a personal thing that I think you can't even make that decision until you're actually in the moment.
Absolutely. What I want is for moms to know about it. Mm-hmm. They need to know that it's an option and that it is very personal. We do get calls sometimes from very well-meaning nurses and sisters and mothers-in-law and we're happy to give out that information, but to start the screening process for any mom, but surely for bereaved moms, we need to hear from the mom herself that she is ready to go through this. And it is we hear from the moms who actually do it, but it's such a personal decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of a personal, I'd love to show the second video, which really just shows two moms in different situations when it comes to milk banking. But I'd love to show that two examples. And so just hold on, let me pull up the video here. Okay, there we go.
Hello, my name is Anushka Riley, and I used Mother's Milk Bank in 2013. We had twins that were desperate in need of good food to make them stronger and healthy. The idea behind Mother's Milk Bank isn't about profits, it's about care. It's about wanting to give every child the best start they can have. And as a woman, and especially a mother, and certainly one from Europe, I was completely happy and blown away by their acceptance of us and the great help that they offer to us.
It is one of the most wonderful gifts that you can receive, is something natural and something real from someone else.
And I think that's very important for you to know, that the mother that does this doesn't do it for profit, but just because she wants to help you, as she did with us.
So I am a milk donor as a result of Miss Ashlyn here. She arrived early and was a recipient of donor milk for a couple days prior to my milk coming in. She was born at 29 weeks and 4 days. You say hi, and weighed 3 pounds 2 ounces. So she wasn't the tiniest of preemies, but she was pretty tiny. Actually, I can remember her nurse coming in and saying, "Your milk isn't in yet," or, you know, our options are that we start with formula or donor milk. And I couldn't imagine saying no. And there may be moms that do, but that just didn't seem to make sense to me, because the kind of mom who donates milk is me, a mom who has more than enough and would like to help another baby or babies. And I'm certain that that has everything to do with her success.
Awesome. It's so great to hear from moms who have actually benefited from it or have offered it. And in the second case, she had been both there. Like you said, there's many moms there are moms who come back, and there's somebody here in the audience, Deneen, who I know she's a milk donor. She's donated a lot of milk. And she also, she's saying she received milk in the beginning too. So really great. Really great.
Makes us all feel great.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's like such a beautiful gift that, you know, you could feel like you're giving and receiving. It just, and like you said, and then a beautiful circle if you can do both. What about the idea that the milk changes over time? So as your baby gets older, the milk is different than what it would be if you had a newborn, if you had a preemie. How does that impact? Does it matter as far as what milk you're donating?
So that's a really good question. Most of our donors are mothers of full-term healthy babies. Mm-hmm. And it isn't the same as a premature baby would be getting. When we do get milk from preemie moms, because not all moms can produce milk when they've had a 26 or 27 or 28 weeker, but some moms can. And some moms find themselves pumping by the liter and feeding by the teaspoon. And so they have a big supply. And when we get milk from preemie moms, we do pasteurize that separately, and we send it only to NICUs for the premature baby. So the milk is different, and there is constant ongoing research, very exciting research about what is in milk and the differences of milk depending on the age of the baby, depending on the time of day. There's all kinds of differences in milk. And so, if we could feed babies by, paralleling the age of the baby to the age of the mom at all times, we could do that, but it's just not possible. We don't have the volume to do that. So we do feed. Most of the milk the babies receive is from full-term healthy moms, and there are ways hospitals have of fortifying milk with additional milk. Sometimes there's human milk fortifiers, and there are bovine milk fortifiers that add the components and the nutrients that the premature babies will need when they're getting full-term milk. But it still helps the babies to grow. It still has those immune factors that the babies need, and the brain growth and the growth factors that the babies need. So it's still your best option.
Yeah. And so when the milk comes in from the donors, the milk is mixed. Am I right about that?
Right. So we pool the milk from more than one mom. So any day that we're pasteurizing, we will pool the milk from, somewhere between 3 and 5 moms, say, into one batch. And that helps us make sure that we have a good mix of those components. Within each mom's donation, we pull it out by the plastic garbage bag. I mean, they send us a lot of milk. They pump it into bags or bottles, and then they send it to us by the box full. And we're getting milk over different times of day for that one mom, and we know that milk changes depending on the time of day that it was pumped. And by combining from more than one mom, we're getting a better, kind of more homogeneous product that is the milk of that is from more than one mom, and so it's a more consistent product and getting those good mix of components for the babies. Yeah.
Will be such differences between the bottles that you're creating. Each bottle is kind of the same at that point.
That's the idea. Yeah. Again, if we could target it in a different way, that would be great. And there is ongoing research on that, and someday we may be able to do that. And every time we think we've sort of figured it all out, there's more to learn about what that even means and how to do that. And there's always a lag between the research and what we can actually being able to apply it. So even though you'll hear on CNN or the news that there's been something discovered in research, a few years ago there was a report that came out that said that milk is different between when you have a boy or when you have a girl, which has been known in the animal kingdom for a long time, and they figured it out about humans. And within 24 hours, we were getting phone calls saying, "Do you separate milk out by gender?" And the answer is that we don't have time yet because the study just came out. But also, one study is not enough on any topic to change the way we do things. The evidence base needs to be stronger than one study. To really be able to really make sense to change our policies. That goes for pasteurizing procedures, all of those things, what medications are okay or are not okay for moms to take, all of those things. There really has to be a strong evidence base to make sure that what we're doing is safe.
Absolutely. One question that I know I've been asked before is, what about someone who wasn't necessarily planning to donate, but now they've ended up with a lot of frozen milk that they can't use? Is that milk that can be donated at that point, or do you have to make that decision beforehand and know that you're going to do it?
No, we can take milk that moms have pumped before. They go through the screening. We ask some very careful questions. If mom has been on a medication, we make sure that the blackout dates, which is usually the dates that she's on the medication plus about 5 times the half-life, and we have books that tell us half-life of every medication you can imagine, that we don't use milk from those dates. And every bag of milk we receive or bottle must have a date on it. Otherwise, we can't use it, so you have to date everything. But once we've done the screening and done all of the testing, one assumes that if you test negative for HIV now, you probably didn't have HIV when you pumped the milk either, that sort of thing. Right. So we can take, if you have a supply and find that you really do want room for that turkey and you're not going to use the milk, then yes, call us and, you go through the screening and then we can take that milk. Absolutely.
So great. Yeah, I really encourage, I encounter many moms with tremendous oversupply, and it's not something that you want to create if you're having issues. Oversupply, we've talked about many times, can cause real problems for moms, from mastitis and, even poor weight gain in their babies. I mean, like all kinds of issues when there's an oversupply. But some moms can really handle having extra milk, making extra milk, and do quite fine with it. But you really just want to, if you're able to do it, why not? Why not donate some of it? You don't need 1,000 bags of milk in your freezer. It's not the way it works. You're gonna have more where that came from, and so you don't need to buy that extra freezer. Put it to use where someone could really benefit from it by having that donation, and then of course save some extra milk for your own baby as well.
And sometimes we do have moms who donate for a while, and then there's a dip in supply. They go back to work and realize they're using more milk than they thought they would. Again, our priority, and we do check in with moms on this on a regular basis, the priority is always the mom's own baby comes first. And if you can't donate for a time, if the goal is that 100 or 150 ounces. If you don't make it because you needed it for your own baby, no one's making you sign your name in blood and give us 100 ounces. Doesn't work, it doesn't work. Your baby is the most important.
Absolutely. So now, how would a mom who's watching tonight or watching the show, how would they, if they wanted to donate, how would they begin the process to do that? Who would they reach out to?
So your best bet is to look on the website of the Human Milk Banking Association of North America. It's just hmbana.org. Mm-hmm. Click on locations and find the milk bank closest to you.
Yep.
And give them a call. And our clinical standards are all the same, but each milk bank has its own process for how they do their donation. And call the milk bank closest to you, and they will help you walk you through the process of donating to. And that's a nice way you're really giving back to your community. I mean, people want to give back to their communities. We said with the wonders of FedEx and dry ice, we can send milk. If you live in a state that doesn't have a milk bank, chances are the milk bank in a nearby state is serving hospitals in your area.
Right.
Are serving and really giving back to your community.
Yeah. There are lots of moms, especially now, online, meeting each other in different rooms and chat rooms and groups, and doing some on their own sharing of milk, whether it's wet nursing and, actually nursing the baby, or just taking donation of milk from other moms. I'm just curious on your take on that. And, obviously it's something that's been around forever. And it's a mother's decision, a family's decision of what they're going to do. But being in the work that you do, just interested to hear from what you would say.
So I would say a couple of things. First of all, most of the time, milk is pretty robust, and full-term healthy babies are pretty robust. Mm-hmm. And as you said, this has been done for thousands of years, and it's not new to the 20th or 21st century. Having said that, as we said a few minutes ago, there's also been a recognition of the need to regulate it. And there is a recognition that things can be transmitted through milk. I did some research on this when I was first getting interested in milk banking, and both, again, historically and some contemporary research. Milk historically has also been shared in fairly tight circles. So you would share milk within your small town, your clan, your family. With the internet, milk can come from anywhere, and you don't know the people you're receiving it from. And sometimes they don't even know that they're carrying something. That's why we test our moms so carefully, and we screen them so carefully. So it is, moms and families need to make their own informed choices. The catch is making sure it's an informed choice, that the mom. When there's this kind of sharing, some moms and families really want some prenatal records, want some blood tests done. That's part of the private conversation between who's giving and who's receiving it. But if you're interested in doing that, you need to carefully educate yourself about what the risks are. There was a study done a number of years ago at a milk bank where they looked at some of their, the previous X number of years worth of their records, and found that between 3 and 5% of their moms had an unexpected positive blood test for something like HIV or syphilis. Okay, and we've known for a couple thousand years that syphilis is transmittable through human milk. And that's a very self-selecting population. Yeah. Those moms were surprised that they got that diagnosis. I don't really want to have been part of the dinner time conversation that night when they had to talk at home about, I just got a confirmed positive test for HIV. What's that about? So as a family or as an individual making a decision about whether to use milk from someone else on the internet, you need to think about whether a 5% chance that mom who you don't know has something that she may not even be aware she has is a worthwhile risk for you, given the risks that you see with using formula. Again, it's a personal decision, but you need some sense of what the risk is that you're taking, and then make the decision you're going to make.
It's such a great explanation that you gave here, and I think that it's important for us to make that point, because no one's saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's a thing. It's something that needs to be considered, and that the risk is there. And so while we're talking about milk donation and milk banking and human milk sharing, which is what we're discussing here, I want everyone to understand that there is a difference between what you do and the screening that takes place, and then not just taking that information and applying it to just anyone who would provide milk. That doesn't mean that anyone that isn't good milk. It's just that there are risks because it's not being tested and you don't necessarily know.
And our screening process is very careful and very detailed, and we're constantly asking questions, and we're getting updates on our guidelines, our clinical guidelines, every 2 years based on research. It's just, that's something that's our responsibility to do and keep track of. That individual mom, it's just not possible to keep track of all that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what a great conversation. We could probably go on much longer than this, but I'm so happy that we've been able to have this conversation, to discuss this and to create awareness. Everybody in the chat room is really excited and thanking us for that. And Naomi, I just want to thank you for being here with us tonight. And for everything that you do every day, and everybody over at the Milk Bank, they've been here on the chat room, just saying hi to Mother's Milk Bank Northeast, who's behind the name there, for all the amazing work that you do for mothers and babies and families.
It's amazing work. It's an amazing team effort to make this work, and we are very honored and proud to be doing it, both for the people who receive it and to give moms who donate milk that opportunity to do that, and to give them a way of sharing and giving back.
Absolutely.
So it's very rewarding work, and I thank everybody who has ever been involved in it. It's just amazing.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank our sponsors again, who makes the nights like this possible, so that we can have these conversations, and amazing people too. So thank you to Rumina and to Well Mom Breast Pillow. And remember that if you want to enter to win the prize, you need to just like or love this post, comment here somewhere during the stream. Hopefully you did. You guys were too into the conversation. Tell me what you love about the products, and then make sure you go over to the registration page and make sure you register to be entered to win. We're going to pull winners. They'll be announced by Friday. And anybody going to be in LA this weekend, make sure that you come over to the LA Baby Show to give me a big hug, because I need hugs in person. I don't get to see everybody in person. We're always on the internet. So when I get to see them, it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. So I'm going to say goodnight to you all for now. And again, thank you, Naomi. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you again.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Bye. Mwah.